This is categories 2 and 3. I went over my books for sparking creativity or getting unstuck. The next two categories I have are the learn something books and then reference books. I just wanted to sit down and share some of my favorite art books with you. I love to read. I just also love looking at beautiful things and learning new things, and I often find that I check out a lot of books from the library and sometimes I don't return them on time. It's probably one of my bad habits. I should work on that. Once I get a book from the library, and if I've decided that I really love that book, then I usually will add it to a list. I have a kind of a running list going of books that I would like to get, and then I have a few places that I look to purchase books. Probably my favorite and number one place to look for books is thrift stores, and very rarely do you actually find a book that's on your list that you're looking for. When that happens, it's just like magic. I also really like to use eBay or thriftbooks.com because I find that you can get almost brand new books for way cheaper, because art books can be kind of expensive. They kind of get pricey. I have a few books on my list that I actually don't own. They're books that I've gotten from the library and that I really love, and maybe one day I will purchase them. You might notice that I have a few pizza books and cooking books on my Learn Something list. So Pizza Camp is a really good one. And then also, it's called Pizza: History, Recipes, Stories, People, Places, Love. This one is so cool because the book looks like a pizza box and I love it so very much. Third food book is Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat by Samin Nosrat. This one's got lots of illustrations and is really informative also. Side note too, she did a podcast during COVID, just a short mini series, and it's so good, so wholesome. If you're gonna be good at cooking, I start here. This book is fun because I spilled food on it, but that's okay. Books are meant to be loved and used and looked at. Another one is Make Ink. Gives lots of different recipes for ink, but also the pictures are just very beautiful. So it's kind of a fun one to look through. I got this book when I was planning on turning my flowers into paint and ink, and if you watched my other video, you know that never happened. This one was one of those moments in the thrift store where I couldn't believe that somebody got rid of this book and that I got to buy it. So this book is written by Grace Bonney, who was the founder of Design Sponge. This one goes through all of these different women, super diverse, all of them artists, and does a little Q&A and then has a picture of them either in their studio or their space, and it's just so fun to read about. And from a thrift store, I couldn't believe it. Also on my list for Learn Something books is Joyful. If you are interested at all in interior design and creating beautiful spaces, it was such a good book. It made me feel validated in wanting to make or live in a space that feels good. The Object Enthusiast, she works with clay. She is coming out with a book about clay and surface design, and I'm kind of excited to see that one. My library probably won't have it. I don't know if I could like ask them to get it. I'm excited to check that one out. And then also there are some books, all of the books are like one word, and then Whitechapel Documents of Contemporary Art. And so I know they have like a craft and a practice, and I've read through those. They're definitely very intellectual and not just like a browse, flip through, easy read, but super informative if you're wanting more academic writing. Well, the sun is slowly setting and my battery keeps overheating. Very hot, and so I'm gonna wrap this up quickly. At the top of my list, the very top for reference book, is Anything by Julia Rothman. They are so informative, so if you want to learn something new, and also she just has so many great illustrations. Like, always recommend to people and to children. They're just that good. And they're just really great. So fun to look at and just flip through. Really recommend these. I don't feel like I have any specific books that I would recommend for reference because every artist, every person is going to want to look at different things. And so what I want to look at and what you want to look at is going to be different. And I think just finding what sorts of books or what sorts of things you want to browse through or what give you ideas or inspiration can be really helpful. Big books like this, they're just so expensive. They're so expensive. And so I usually just look at thrift stores and try to find books that have pictures that I would be interested in looking at. I have a Matisse book that I will flip through and then just kind of browse, peruse. Famous artist books are fun to have sometimes because you can just look at color schemes and see some of their iterations. I also have a Monet book. I don't think I've ever actually read these books. I just use them as picture books. I also have this botanical art book, just drawings of flowers and plants. Also a thrift store book. I had a professor that his philosophy was that books were better cut up. So he had a folder of images. They came from books like this, and so he had just like cut them out and laminated them. So that's another thing too, is that if you don't like having the big books around, you could always cut them up. Maybe I'm controversial in saying that, but you do what works best for you. I have a few books that not famous artists. For me, like I like flipping through and seeing the different style. It just reminds me to slow down, to just have fun with it. I would say for reference books, really anything, any kind of book that has inspirational pictures that you want to look at. Plants, animals, whatever it is that you want to draw. I think the reason I like books is because sometimes I don't want to have to look at the computer. It's fun to be able to pull out a book and to look. There are so many cool illustrators that are illustrating children's books, and so those are fun too to look through. So those are kind of what I got as far as books. Reference books, just books to look at when you want some inspiration or want something to look at that's not your computer or not your phone. So maybe you have a book that you would like to share with me. If you do have a book that you love, drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Now I gotta put all my books away.